See if we can get a few people on here, and then I'll start with my public notice. And of course, as always, if you have any questions you want to ask, anything you want to say, feel free. Oh, wow. Can I get rid of that? I gotta get rid of that somehow. How do I get rid of that green screen, bruh? There we go. So some of you folks may or may not know. Hello there, Falcon Peterbot. Oh wait, what are these? These are bots. Why are there bots? I've never had bots on my live streams before. That's crazy. Well, I'll just say what I'm going to say here. As you may or may not know, I've been doing some videos. Oh, okay. Sorry, Falcon. Sorry about that. Well, if you're going to come here and call names, I mean, you kiss your mama with that mouth, you're not going to be here. We don't need you here. So what I came here to say is that I do grammar audit videos. I audit other folks' grammar. Some folks don't like that. Some folks take it as a personal attack. Now, with my perception, if you are going to make a claim of a title of some sort, like King of the World or Commander of the Army or whatever claim you're making, you have to be able to back it up. What does the fiction do when you criticize it? What do fiction entities do when you try to call them to the carpet to take accountability for what they're doing or to back up a claim that they make? What do? Well, they might try to ad hominem you, they might try to slander you, they might try to smear you. The other thing they will try to do is to silence you, to stop you from talking about them. Why? Because they don't want to be exposed. And that's exactly what happened with Jason Paul Grievous and the videos I was doing about him. He had no way to respond to me on a level of correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar. So just like Rachel Dara Prince, he filed a copyright strike on my channel because I audited a document that he wrote. And I had the document on the screen. Now, keep in mind, this is a public document, publicly available. And so he did that. So that is why, if you see, I've taken down, for now, the videos that had him in it. But that's okay, because I'm going to move them over to Rumble. I'm going to move all those videos over to Rumble. And I don't really care about Rumble. But actually, you know, I do care about this YouTube channel. But if you get 3 copyright strikes, the channel's gone. So that's over 1,000 videos, free videos for the public, that'll be gone. Now, to me, at this point in time, that's not something I'm too stressed about, because I was ready to let this YouTube channel go a couple months ago, and I still am. I'm not worried about it, because I've done what I've done, and I put it out there into the sea of space for people to learn from. And that's just the way the fiction works. I mean, and make no mistake, Jason Paul Grievous is fiction, 100% fiction, because that's all he can do. is underhanded Vasily type stuff. There had to have been some bots here, because there was like a whole pile of viewers, and then all of a sudden, when I said that, they disappeared. So that's, I don't know how this stuff works anyways. So that's my public notice and announcement. That if you notice those videos are gone, it's because YouTube has received a bitch-made complaint from Jason Paul Grievous, because I audited his document. I showed him to be a fraud, and he just proved my words to be true, 100% true. He is a fraud. He doesn't want to be scrutinized. He doesn't want to be criticized. He doesn't want the people that pay him hundreds of pounds for his secret syntax course to know that he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And I'm not going to continue on with this, because again, as I've said in the other videos, to me personally, he's inconsequential. This is the only way that he can do anything to me, is through the fiction. And so I feel like I've done my bit. I've warned those people that need to be warned, and I'm just going to move on and do other grammar videos. Like, here's the difference between a guy like that and a guy like Russell J. Gould. I continued after I got the copyright strike. The first copyright strike from, well, it wasn't Russell that filed it. It was his... Well, it was Rachel Dar Prince, whoever she is. She filed it because she runs his YouTube channel. And the video got taken down because it contained a small animation that she created. And I replayed that in my video, and she was managed to get the copyright strike for that, and the video taken down. I easily circumvented it by just cutting out that part and using the rest of the video. And then there was another time she filed another copyright strike when I used a thumbnail that had her name, but the picture wasn't her. And she literally said in the complaint that I made her look like a fat pig or something like that, or made people think that she was a fat pig. So she was worried about that. That was pretty funny. But that copyright strike failed. And so after that, they never filed any more strikes. And actually, Russell follows me on Twitter, follows me on Instagram, follows me on TikTok, which is, I find it's hilarious because I don't really think it's him. I don't think he runs any of that stuff. Hello, Magic Fluid Process. But Grievous, Jason Paul Grievous, is a different type. I think that Russell, whatever you may say about him and his grammar, which, I mean, I'm of the public position that he doesn't have closure on the grammar based upon the audits that I've done. He's a different caliber of character than this Jason Paul Grievous. This Jason Paul Grievous is a flat-out scammer, claiming to be, and I've proven it, his claims about having closure on the grammar or using correct sentence structure are completely 100% fraudulent. False. Fiction. Show me, again, show me where he knows how to use the grammar. I have asked ChatGPT to, and it always says not recognized in the course. Well, ChatGPT is completely correct. It's not. It's not cognized in the courts. That's why they won't deal with it. That's why if you know correct sentence structure and you know how to use it and walk into a foreign vessel and dry dock, They will do everything in their power to get you out of there or to get rid of you or dismiss whatever you're doing. They will leave the court, or they will try to get you to leave the court, or they will ignore you. I've seen it happen countless times. I've seen someone go into a Ford vessel in dry dock using all the correct mechanics, correct grammar mechanics, and correct volition, and have the court completely ignore them, and then they leave the court because they say, well, then this case is adjourned, it's dismissed, it's done. Because he was the federal judge in that case, on that document contract postal vessel court venue. And when he did that, all records of his case were wiped from the internet. He couldn't find any record, public record, of him being there that day, or the case being scheduled, or subsequent cases related to that, or subsequent court dates related to that. So no, they don't recognize it. They don't know how. Fortunately for me, everything that I've done has been through my federal postal court. And I'm not saying that I'm anything about the... What I mean by federal postal court is the mailbox. And by my federal postal court, I mean my mailbox, which it isn't really my mailbox. I'm using that figuratively. I'm a steward of the mailbox. The mail comes to me through there and I use it. It's a mini custom clearinghouse. And so I've been able to take care of my cases through there. It makes sense that it would not be promoted. Why would you promote fair play? Why would you promote fairness and equality? Rule 1, rule equal in the fiction. There's nothing fair about the fiction. Just like this copyright strike that Jason Paul Grievous filed against me on YouTube. So YouTube is just going to take his word for it that I'm infringing upon a copyright. But yet, if I have to try and challenge that strike, then I have to enter in my phone number and my personal address into YouTube, and then Grievous can see that. But it's not the other way around. So the fiction is, there's nothing fair about the fiction. And I'm not mad about it. It is, I mean, it is what it is. Can you travel abroad and stuff on Quan grammar? Yeah, if you want to. How long have you been watching Magical Fluid Process? How long have you been watching these videos on this particular channel? Thank you, Quadruple A. Appreciate that, man. Bottom of my heart, I appreciate that. I've watched sporadically on and off. Right, but how long? How long have you been watching? I feel like you've been here for at least a couple years. Hey, Quadruple A, if you're still there. I looked into the language thing you were talking about. I mean, on YouTube, the subtitles and automatic translations. I don't really understand it all, but I'm trying to get all that stuff shut off. And right now, YouTube really makes it hard to do it because you have to go through manually on every video and click the subtitles and translations that you don't want. Like, no, processing, and then you go to the next one. No, processing. Portuguese, no, processing. You know, Russian, no, processing. And it's just, they make it really hard to turn that off. So I don't know if I'm willing to invest that now space to do that. It's a real pain in the butt, unless there's an easier way to do it that I don't know about. So Magical Fluid Process, you've been watching for a couple of years. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Would someone who uses quantum grammar have a passport? how does it work in other jurisdictions? Yes, you would have a passport. A fiction passport. In the fact, you have a C-pass-C treaty. In the fiction, you have a passport. And the way these things work, well, the way they can't, one way you can do this is to have your fiction passport, and if you have closure on correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar, you have your live life claim, and I'm talking about a live life claim with correct grammar mechanics, correct postal mechanics, correct flag mechanics, and 3 or more live life claim witnesses. 3 or more live life claim witnesses, and your punctuated name in the copyright copy claim section, and your name is the only name in the copyright copy claim section. If you have all those ducks in a row, then you can create a C-pass-C treaty. And then what happens is that you can tow these documents as salvages. Like I tow my fiction passport as a salvage. On the passport, I have a red fox stamp, which I've autographed over with my live life claim number and my C-pass-C treaty number on the passport. And I use that whenever I travel. Just like a driving license. I tow that as a salvage. There's a red fox stamp on the back of my driving license. It's not my driving license, by the way. It's a fiction driving license. I've paid a fee for freight to use that license for the ease of the navigation, but I tow it with my C-pass-C treaty. And you would have to brush up on fiction salvage laws, of course. Rules of salvage, or whatever you want to call it. There's so much I don't understand, and I realize that fear is something I must get over. Magic fluid process, whomever you are, I feel you. Back in 2017, when I filed my first live life claim, when I walked into the post office, I was shaking in my boots. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know, what if I file this live life claim in here and I do all these things? What if, they come and get me? I was literally thinking things like this. Going up to the postal clerks at the desk, afraid to talk to them because I knew that they were going to look at me like I was a weirdo. But I soon got over that. The more I did it, the more I realized, what is there to be afraid of? As long as you're not doing anything wrong, as long as you're not harming anyone and you don't mean harm, you'll be okay. That's why I always say the most important thing, outside of correct grammar, outside of correct, all these correct mechanics I mentioned, the most important thing is volition. What is your volition? To bring it back to the topic of this particular live stream, my volition in auditing the Russell J. Gould and Jason Paul Grievous videos and other folks out there, Mark lowercase k, was to show people that these folks that are claiming to use correct sentence structure aren't using it, and that it's a danger and can create a shipwreck for you if you get involved with them. Just be aware of it. It wasn't to disqualify them. It wasn't to cause them harm, per se. It was to safeguard. It was to put up like a bulwark for people to look at and think, okay, you got to think before you get involved with these people, what you're getting involved with. I never set out to hurt anybody. Actually, I'm set out to help people. That's why I have over 1,000 free videos on this channel. Is to help people. I don't put it behind a paywall. It's all here. Would you say that fear gets in the way of cognition? Certainly, certainly. See, fear kind of navigates as a non-tangible contract condition of state. In that, what is fear? Fear is a sensation that you get that's concerned with an imaginary scenario. You get this sensation of anxiety and stress about something that has not happened yet, or will not happen, something that might happen. That's as non-tangible as you can get. Although technically fear would be syntaxed as a tangible contract condition of state. I'm saying psychologically fear modifies, it's a modifier. It can modify your actions, your movements, just like an adverb modifies a verb or an adjective. Wow, that's a pretty good analogy right there. Fear can modify not only your thinking, the verb of the thinking, it can also modify your position, your stable position. It can even modify that, like an adjective. So, got to be careful about that. I believe you to be a man of honor, and I thank you for your engagement. Well, I thank you for your viewership over the last few years, and I appreciate your questions. I appreciate you being here, for sure. And I hope someday you contact me at jasonmatthewg17@gmail.com and apply for workshops. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I like to use the martial arts analogy and things like that. When I would train, like, for example, in my 20s, when I was a member of a Puerto Rican boxing gym, I'd go in there and get my ass kicked all the time by these amateur and pro boxers. When I first joined, I had a fear of what was going to happen when I got in there. I was a fear of getting my butt kicked. And then that informed the way that I sparred at first. I would freeze up, or it would just be too tense. But gradually, through practice and repetition, I was able to be a steward of my breathing, get loose. But then when I would get hit and things like that and mess up, I would get mad. So it went from fear to anger. And my coach was like, bro, you got to get past all that. You can't fight fearful and you can't fight angry. He's like, you can feel those things, but you can't let them control you. You can use them as motivation, but if you let them take over and modify what you're doing, you're going to lose against someone who knows what they're doing. So eventually I got past all that. And it's the same thing with this kind of. It just takes practice. First it takes knowledge, cognition, and then it takes practice. So it's a process. Some might think it's a magical fluid process of learning this grammar. But I have well over a dozen, maybe a dozen and a half students who have gained closure on this grammar, enough closure at least to navigate through a foreign vessel in dry dock. And that means they can syntax on the spot, and they can create a correct sentence structure on the spot. But that takes a lot of work. That's why there are so few people out there that can do this. So few people out here that can use correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar in that manner. Jason Paul Grievous and Jakey Singel are definitely two folks that can't. You know, I hope they're watching right now. But of course, I don't think they'd have the balls to come into this chat, because this is a public live stream. I doubt they'd have the balls to come into this chat and say anything. Just like a typical Vasily, they like to stay behind and do underhanded trickery. But that's okay. It's okay, to each their own. I'm of the firm position that folks like that definitely get what's coming to them. Just like I do, just like anyone else. Rule one, rule equal. Everybody gets what's coming to them, one way or the other. Believe that. All right, I'm going to take a couple minute break right here, and then I will be right back. We've gone about a half hour. I appreciate everybody who's commented, most specifically magical fluid process. I appreciate your questions. Anyone else have any questions, pop them in the chat. I'll check it out when I get back. Thank you, Quadruple A, for the donation gift. I appreciate that. Much gratitude. I will be right back. All right. We're back online. Now, I really can't believe I don't get any trolls on this live streams. It's pretty funny to me. I get trolls in my comments field, but not in a live chat. So one more time, to repeat the public notice. The self-styled, how does he say it? Commander-Chief-in-General, Jason Paul Grievous, has filed a copyright strike against my channel because I audited a document that he wrote. So as I said at the beginning of the video, what does the fiction do when it doesn't want you to draw attention? When it doesn't want to be called to the carpet? It tries to silence you one way or the other. And so that's the case of what's happening here. But here's the thing, it doesn't... This YouTube channel, again, I was ready to let it go a couple months ago. I'm still ready to let it go. I'm doing it as a public service for the people, so they can learn from it. And if it gets taken down, it's not really going to make that big of a difference in my life. I'm just not going to make videos anymore. But I'm still going to teach correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar, like I've been doing for the last 8+ years. It's okay. I'm ready for that. It doesn't matter. You know, it's kind of like, you can see it all the time in the fiction. That's how I know Grievous is fiction, is because he uses fiction tactics. Michael Thornton, do you kiss your mama with that mouth? I'm flattered that you feel that way, but I don't play for that team, bro. Just what I said, where are the trolls at? Michael Thornton comes in. Can you see parallels with the Bible in comparison to quantum grammar in the public? No, I don't see any parallels at all. On the one hand, quantum grammar is something that so few people will learn or have the volition or motivation to learn, whereas the Bible is well known. And whereas the Bible is open to interpretation because it's adverb, verb, adjective, pronoun, fiction, babble, quantum grammar is not open to interpretation. Quantum grammar is one word, one meaning. It is what it is. The Bible is completely subjective because it's full of modification. For example, Adam and Eve ate the fruit, so we're moved from paradise. I mean, that's a story that's in there, but I don't really see a parallel between using correct grammar and a mythology. This could mean public versus private. I mean, it could. Again, like I said, it's subjective. The Bible is totally open to interpretation. So if that's how you want to interpret it and you can draw that parallel for yourself, cool. For me, with 7 years of Catholic school under my belt, having read the Bible a few times, having gone to church every weekday during the school year for 7 years, been taught by nuns and priests, been beat by nuns and priests, I have no... Matter of fact, I only really have negative feelings toward the Bible and that whole thing. So I've done plenty of other videos about that. It doesn't really matter to me one way or the other what the Bible is. It's just another piece of the fiction, and I look at it as a psyop, like a control mechanism. If you get people to believe in something like Adam and Eve, or if you get people to believe in something like a Jesus or a God that they can't prove or certify, you can get them to believe anything. You can control them then. That's the way I look at it. But as far as a mythology, like the whole Genesis was taken from earlier Sumerian writings, from my knowledge, what I've seen. The Enuma Elish, the Epic of Gilgamesh. There are other cultures that have way earlier stories that are the same stories that were passed down. So those are stories. Were they rooted in something that happened? I'm not sure. I can't say I wasn't there, right? Winston Shrout used to say there's so many similarities with commercial system. Well, now you're getting into it, because if you look at the foreign vessels in dry dock, the interior of a foreign vessel in dry dock, it's very similar to a church. You got the 3 levels. You got the man in the dress, in the vestments. You got the pews where the public sits. You got the rise, sit, all rise, sit. Except in the church, you kneel down too. So if you look in a lot of courtrooms also, you will see they will have porthole styles windows, like you're in the interior of a ship. You'll see that a lot of times. Not so much in the more modern courtrooms. And also, in many of the courtrooms, you will find an open Bible somewhere in that courtroom. And so, some would say it dates back to ecclesiastical law. Again, it's all fiction. It's all a fiction system. Jesus walked on water. Moses parted the seas. Maritime water, common law, the parted seas. Again, it's all open to subjective interpretation. You're more than welcome to make those assessments for yourself. Common law is just as fiction as legalese, or as admiralty law, maritime law, common law. It's all fiction. And by fiction, I mean that in the context of correct sentence structure. It's not correct sentence structure. It's all adverb, verb, adjective, pronoun, fiction modification. While we're on the subject of imagination, I just saw a who's that guy with the glasses? He's bald. He's kind of heavy set. He talks a lot about history and religion. Thank you, Magic Fluid Process. I appreciate you. what is his name? I can't remember his name, but he was saying that there's a passage in Revelation where the character Jesus says that he's the morning star. Guess who else is the morning star? Lucifer. Jesus is the sun, S-U-N, S-O-N. The day of the Lord is Sunday. I mean, it used to be Saturday, but the church modified it to Sunday. Lucifer is not Satan. Lucifer Lucy means light, Latin. So it's pretty funny, you know, all these things you can interpret and put into it. But see, we didn't write any of that. Someone else wrote it. So how are we to know what the original author meant? We can only guess. And you can go way out in left field with that if you want to. So far out in left field. So far out in left field, you might find yourself in Narnia with Jason Paul Grievous and the crew. All right, no other questions, no other comments, nothing, no more trolling, nothing. Appreciate everybody being here. Again, if you want to see my content, my audits on the Grievous Kid, you can go over to Rumble. I'll leave a link in my community section for my Rumble channel here in the next 24 hours. And you can go over and catch all that stuff over there. I'll still find a place to put it. I'm just going to keep it off this channel. So I can keep it up as long as I possibly can. Because there's over 1,000 videos on here that are free. And I would like to do what I can to keep that available to the public. But I'm still going to keep calling Mr. Grievous out on his fraud and scam and grifting activities. And fictitious conveyance, fraudulent conveyance of grammar, quite frankly. So, thank you. See ya.